Have you ever woken up in the middle of the night without knowing why? You're exhausted, wrapped in deep sleep, but suddenly, something seems to have woken you up, and you don't know what it was. Maybe it was a strange dream, a distant noise, or even an inexplicable premonition. If this has happened to you, don't worry, you're not alone. Many people go through this experience, and in today's video, we're going to find out the real reason why God wakes you up at night and what it means. But before that, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Your support is essential for us to continue bringing content that builds up your spiritual life. As the day fades away and the night sky takes over, there's nothing quite as sweet as a good night's sleep. It's that magical moment where mind and body can finally rest, where the day's problems seem to dissolve in the tranquil darkness of the night. Whether it's the relief of a long day's work or after a night out on the town, sleep brings us peace. But have you ever wondered why God sometimes interferes and wakes us up in the middle of our rest period when He knows this is the only time we really have to disconnect from the world? We live in a spiritual world ruled by two main forces, good and evil. This constant duality shapes our existence, whether we believe it or not. The spiritual realm completely overshadows the physical realm, influencing events and emotions in ways we often do not understand. Many times we forget that, while we are deeply asleep in our beds, the world continues to turn, and so does the presence of spiritual warfare. What happens while we are oblivious, immersed in our dreams? Have you ever wondered why most of the evil in the world happens at night? Why is darkness often associated with evil? This is because the devil considers night the best time to carry out his malicious activities undetected, taking advantage of the veil of night to sow chaos and disorder. In fact, if God made us aware of the spiritual things that happen behind the scenes at night, many of us would stay awake. We would spend time praying instead of falling asleep, seeking divine protection against the forces of evil that operate in the shadows. 1 John 5 verse 19 tells us, "We know that we are children of God, and that the whole world is under the control of the evil one." When God wakes you up in the middle of the night, it's because He wants you to pray and counter these evil forces gathered against you. In Matthew 13 verse 25, the Bible tells us, "But while everyone was sleeping, His enemy came and sowed weeds among the wheat and went away." In other words, during our sleep, the devil is actively working to bring chaos and destruction into our lives. This is a critical time, where good and evil fight invisible battles for our physical eyes, but deeply felt in our spirit. To counter this silent but evil agenda, God wakes us up unexpectedly at night. It's His way of sending a warning about what's happening in the spiritual realm that you can't see. It may seem unexpected and disruptive, but there is a reason for it. Just like in the parable of the wheat and weeds, He knows your enemy is always lurking, looking for a way in. He is trying to protect you and keep you safe, even when you don't realize it. He understands your vulnerabilities and can see when you are in danger. He watches for the enemy's schemes, always vigilant and present to ensure no harm befalls you while you sleep. These divine interventions are invitations to participate in our own spiritual protection, a reminder that we are not alone in this battle. This is how it works. The devil knows that at night we are most vulnerable. While we sleep, he knows that a sleeping man cannot pray, cannot read his Bible, and is not aware of his surroundings. So, at night, when it's dark and the world sleeps, is when the enemy or the devil chooses to work. At the same time, it's when God starts prompting you to wake up and pray, because the best time to catch a thief is when he is in the act of stealing. God wakes us up not to alarm us without reason, but to prepare and protect us against spiritual attacks that we cannot see but that He, in His infinite wisdom, clearly perceives. In fact, the time when God wakes us up to pray at night is when the devil most likely wants to make us feel even sleepier. Have you ever wondered why you feel much sleepier when it comes to waking up to pray? Remember how Jesus' disciples also fell deeply asleep in the Garden of Gethsemane, just before Jesus was arrested? It is not a coincidence that the time you feel most sleepy is when you really need to pray. If you were to wake up at that same time to check your phone or reply to a text, you wouldn't feel as tired or sleepy. But when it comes to prayers, the devil makes sure to attack you with an intense desire for sleep. You feel his arms around you, whispering sweet but empty promises of rest. He tempts you to stay in bed, saying that praying won't make much difference anyway. He says there's no need for you to cut your sleep short just to pray. He says to leave the prayers until the morning and that everything is fine. But he is wrong. Whenever God wakes you up in the middle of the night, it's because he has seen the enemy attacking you and wants you to take charge spiritually. Praying can be a powerful antidote. It helps counteract and dismantle whatever plans the enemy has set up against you. The devil knows that if you take control of the situation and pray, you will overpower him. That's why he sends waves of sleepiness, just enough to make you too comfortable to act. These are not coincidences. He knows there is power in prayers and doesn't want you conducting any spiritual activities that will hinder his plans. Night prayers have a unique power, a capacity to change the course of spiritual battles in ways we don't fully understand, but that are fundamental to our victory. Waking up to pray can be a difficult feat, but those who heed God's call are rewarded with spiritual victory. The sleepier you get, the more effort you should put into your prayers. As you begin to pray and your voice rises, so does your resolve. He knows his plans have been thwarted and that with your prayers, his insidious plans have been exposed. The nights may seem long and lonely, but it is in these moments that you are closest to God, fighting side by side with him against forces that try to bring you down. The truth is that many people find themselves facing many problems in their daily lives, but what they often fail to realize is that God might have already woken them up once or twice to pray. He may have even made their troubles known in advance through dreams and visions, but they just weren't attentive enough to act. In Job 40 verse 4 it says, "Once have I spoken, but I will not answer, yet twice, but I will proceed no further." This reveals that God speaks to us often, but we simply do not pay attention. Don't let ignorance be the downfall of your faith. Obey the call to rise at night and pray diligently every time. You will find yourself victorious over every hidden enemy in ways you never imagined. Many times, God gives us signs and messages, but our lack of attention and readiness prevents us from taking advantage of these warnings and acting according to his will. In the Bible, Peter was held captive in prison awaiting execution the next day. It was during the night that an angel broke into the prison and woke the apostle from his sleep. When Peter noticed the open prison doors, he was naturally intrigued. He didn't know he had received a herald from the Lord and quickly realized this was his chance for freedom. He heeded and followed the angel out of the prison, being freed and avoiding certain death. Many would have made excuses, claiming to be too tired or not feeling like praying. But Peter understood that obeying the Lord is better than comfort. Instead of making excuses and staying in bed, Peter woke up, followed the angel, and was set free. This story is a powerful reminder that obedience to God can deliver us from the most difficult situations. Another example can be seen in the life of young Samuel. When Samuel was a boy, he was called upon by God in the middle of the night while he was sleeping. "Speak, for your servant is listening," Samuel answered. In that moment, God opened up a world of wonderful possibilities. Had Samuel chosen to be lazy and continued to sleep, he might never have risen to be the great man he was. It is clear from this story that when God wants us to wake up at night and pray, we need to lean into our faith and obey his call. This doesn't mean we should always stay up all night praying, but it means that if God prompts us, we should respond. It can be tempting to just roll over and go back to sleep when we are awoken at night, but it is important to take these moments seriously and listen to what God may be trying to tell us. As tempting as it may be to stay in bed and sleep, the importance of following his direction is obvious. You might wonder why God sometimes chooses nighttime instead of the day to give us these prompts, but the truth is God can prompt you at any time, be it day or night. During the day, we often become too distracted by our activities to hear God's voice and recognize spiritual dangers, but when we sleep and the devil begins to set up his plan, God can open our eyes to see the truth better than ever before. Even if it's just a few minutes of prayer, it can make a huge difference in our lives and in the spiritual battle being waged against us. But we must not forget that if we refuse to make time for God, we have already lost the battle. It takes time, focus, and commitment. But when you make it a habit to rise in the stillness of the night to connect with God, unseen spiritual battles can be won. You will be amazed at how much a few moments in God's presence each day can do for your spirit. These spiritual practices build a wall around us, protecting and strengthening us to face daily challenges with the strength and wisdom that come from God. Every time you wake up, speak to God first, before picking up your phone or speaking to a friend, because only He alone can guarantee you a safe life mentally, physically, and spiritually. A person who spends an hour at night praying is much more powerful than a man who spends an hour praying during the day. No wonder Jesus spent most of his time praying at night, because he understood the power behind prayers, even though often hidden from our eyes. What's coming against us is nothing compared to the powerful and loving plans God has for us. When we honor him and rest in him, he will watch over us at night and keep our souls safe and secure. So, if you find yourself awoken in the middle of the night, rest assured that God has something important to tell you. He's just waiting for you to listen. Take these moments to strengthen your faith and connect with God's divine plan for your life. Allow yourself to be shaped by these moments of intimacy with him, and see how your life can transform. And that's it. Thank you for watching. If you love our videos, please feel free to subscribe to our channel. Your support is crucial for us to continue bringing messages that strengthen and build up your spiritual journey. May God bless and keep you, now and always.